the most disrespectful things that I ever saw was when Trujillo joined Metallica, and they said that the songs had never sounded that way since Cliff. And it got me thinking, imagine if those guys had allowed Jason to blossom, to write more than 3 or 4 songs in the whole time he was in Metallica. Because Jason's a very good songwriter, he's a great singer, plays the bass like on another level. And, I feel like I would love to see Jason Newsted do something with Phil Anselmo. And the reason I say that is because the creativity of those guys. Phil Anselmo couldn't stay in Pantera. It's not that he didn't want to do Pantera, but he wanted to do like so many other projects, and he wanted to help other people, and he wanted to lend a hand behind the glass, not just, as a singer, but also on the production side. And that's the same thing with Jason. I would love to see those guys do something together, but the difference is in Pantera, Phil was the lead singer and probably had more range, but then again, maybe not, because, Pantera was around before he was there, and so I think maybe the Abbott brothers probably controlled the band, kind of like the Van Halen brothers did in Van Halen, and so on and so forth. But it's just wild to me because you've got an individual that's giving 110%, because that's something that the Pantera guys always admitted, or had to admit. It's that Phil, bled Pantera. He was all about Pantera. And it's also something that, even though he left, he didn't leave because he wanted to leave, I don't think. He left because they were just, restricting his creative flow. And then you look at Metallica. Those guys are the first to tell you that nobody treated the fans like Jason did. So, the idea that, James would say to Jason, any projects besides Metallica compete with Metallica is nonsense. If Jason had been able to give what he had given all of those years and still be amazing with the fans, and maybe during the off time had a side project, or if he asked the band like he did for a year hiatus, just so that, those guys could have a refresh. Because look, right after that, after they basically told Jason they didn't need him and he quit, James went into rehab. So that year would have been glorious. But here's the problem. They never asked Jason back. And they should have. They should have. Trujillo's a great guy, but the gig belonged to Jason, and they never brought him back. And there's even clips where they're laughing at Jason, where they say, oh, there's Jason calling again. And then Bob Rock, who's a shit starter for saying this. I've never thought of him as a shit starter, but he's a shit starter for saying that Jason wanted back in the band, or that Jason wasn't over leaving the band, or suggesting that the guy had ulterior motives with, having issues with different things. And when he was with Voivod and they were going to tour together, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm surprised that Jason even appeared at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because I think you guys did him so dirty. And then to say that the songs never sounded that way since Cliff is just so disrespectful to Jason. And what you don't realize is that the fans love Jason. And I just wish that his Newsted project had been bigger. I wish that, maybe things would have worked out with Echo Brain. I wish that maybe he would have continued on with Voivod. But the thing is, it's kind of like what happened with Izzy. When Izzy left the band, he did the Juju Hounds. It was a phenomenal band. They put out great music. But you go from Guns N' Roses, which is like mega stardom, to anything that you do, it's not going to rival it. And chances are you have a higher likelihood of failing totally than of making it, because you come from this huge band. You will always be known. Some of the final interviews with Slash before they reunited, he was like, there's an interview where a guy asks him, he's like, I was hoping you wouldn't go there. It's so nice to end the interview on such a positive note. But the thing is, it got to the point where he was just sick and tired of hearing about Guns N' Roses no matter what he did. Velvet Revolver was huge. They had a #1. They were multi-platinum. Still, Guns N' Roses questions nonstop. And I think that's what did in Jason's projects. I think because, oh, you're Jason from Metallica, and that he's not with Metallica anymore. And so I think that it just would have been nice to have seen Jason in a project that was really successful and seen what he could have been capable of. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the Metallica guys, they probably rejected a lot of his stuff, And I feel that they did that not because the stuff wasn't good, but more so to kind of keep him humble and in check. I don't think for a second that he was ever treated like Rob has been treated. I feel that Rob, from the minute he came in, was accepted as a brother. And I think that even though Jason was brought into the partnership and he was given a share and he was given publishing money, I don't think they ever saw him as a member. I think the way that Metallica did Jason Newsted is just nasty. It's vile. It's absolutely vile. And then for them to say, for Lars or James, I think it was Lars, some idiot, said that, oh, the song's never sounded that way since Cliff. You don't say that, man. That's just so wrong on so many levels. And honestly, Axl Rose didn't go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I totally thought Jason wasn't going to go, and he did. And I think he did it for the fans because honestly, those guys have been so just... I don't know how the guy does it. I really don't know how the guy does it. Maybe it's because, he's a blue-collar guy. He's not a presumptuous guy. He's not like the typical rock star guy. Maybe he just takes it in stride. I don't know. But you just don't do that to somebody. And I don't think they have ever considered Jason a brother, a full member. And I think that they almost probably didn't even want him on stage with them at the in Cleveland at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, they may have called him. They may have invited him. They might have put on a rousing act that they wanted him there, that they loved him, that they were sorry. But deep down, those two guys, I don't know about Kirk, but those two guys, they never saw Jason as a member. They never saw him on the same level as Cliff. And we know they see Rob on the same level as Cliff because they said so. They said the songs hadn't sounded like that since Cliff. After Jason gave him 12, 13, 14 years. They say that. So, and that was a while ago that they said that. I mean, we're going back here, some time. I mean, Rob's been in the band for a good amount of years. But it just never sat well with me. It never sat well with me the way that they treated Jason Newsted. It just goes to show you that if you work hard and you're loyal and you believe in something, that may still not be good enough. That may not still be good enough. Because the way that Metallica did Jason Newsted is dirty. It was dirty then, it's dirty now, and it's going to go down in the annals of rock history as being dirty forever.